everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and today I have for you the I'm So Annoyed book tag. This is a tag all about, you guessed it, annoying things having to do with books. Despite that, I had a great time answering all of these questions. I will link down below for you the video that I found this tag in, so definitely check that out when you're done here, but without any further ado, let's just start answering these questions. The first question is a very broad one, and that is, do publishers ever do anything that annoy you? And the answer is yes, a lot of things. The thing that I want to talk about, though, is irrelevant excerpts in the back of books. So I have the very egregious example of the Mistborn trilogy here. In the back of the first book, Mistborn, we have an excerpt from, if I can go to it, The Hero of Ages, which is book 3 in the series. Why is it not an excerpt from book 2? Also, this isn't the first chapter of The Hero of Ages. It's like the 5th or 6th. Why? Why are you just putting a chapter from the middle of the 3rd book in the series in the back of the first one? Though, the second book is even worse because here we have The Well of Ascension, and in the back of that, we have... Well, you're not going to be able to see the title of it because it's like a note from Brandon Sanderson, but we have a little excerpt from An Autumn War by, who is this author? Daniel Abraham, who is apparently a friend of Brandon Sanderson. So it's just some other guy's book, and it's also not the first book in his series. This excerpt is from the 3rd book in his series. Why? It makes no sense to me. Then, finally, in the 3rd book, The Hero of Ages, we get an excerpt from Warbreaker, which is in fact a Brandon Sanderson novel, and I believe it's a standalone. I don't know if it's an excerpt from the middle of the book, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Question 2 is, have you ever been annoyed by a spoiler, even so much as someone saying that there's a great twist coming up? And I am a chronic Googler. If you need to know anything about me, that's what you need to know. I love Googling things and finding things out. Most of the time it's when I'm watching like movies or TV shows, but I also do it for books, and with that comes a lot of spoilers. So honestly, I can't be mad at people spoiling things for me because I do it for myself so often, and sometimes I'm a little bit like, okay, I wish I didn't know that now, but I don't really get annoyed by spoilers. The third question is, have you ever been annoyed by something that you found at a free little library? Little free library? One of those. I still don't know the order of the adjectives. Used bookstore or book sale. And the answer to this one is, one time I bought a copy of Hamlet, and the first like 4 or 5 pages were just missing. They just were ripped out, and I didn't notice until I got home. So I then ripped out more pages and made a Hamlet wall, and I will link the video of me doing that down below. That was quite a while ago, but I think it turned out really cool. Question 4 is, are you annoyed when there's a novella in the middle of a short story collection? And I don't read a ton of short story collections, so I don't think this has ever happened to me, but I don't think it would annoy me. I'm really not sure. Question 5 is, deckled edges, beautiful or annoying? And I am in the camp that they are so annoying. There are some books that I have that I've come to peace with the fact that they have deckled edges, like my hardcovers of A Series of Unfortunate Events. I understand that they're going to have deckled edges. I have collected the series anyway because it's something that I love, but if it's just like a random book with deckled edges, I'm probably not going to get it because A, it usually makes books more expensive, B, it makes the pages harder to turn. I have like fine motor skill issues and get really frustrated with trying to turn deckled edges, and C, did I say A and B or 1 and 2? I think I said A and B, so C, they're just ugly. Like, I'm sorry. I understand some people think that they're beautiful. I think they're really ugly and annoying. The 6th question is, how do you feel about finding other people's annotations in a used book or in a library book? And in a used book, like if I'm going to a used book sale and I find a book with someone's annotations, I love that. I think it's so cool to get other people's insight. I have a couple of books like that that I've bought over the years. If it's in a library book though, no, there's a special place in hell for people who write in library books because those are not their books. They don't get to write in it, and it's so annoying when people do that because then a lot of times the librarians have to take those books out of circulation all because people were being jerks. So don't write in library books. Question number 7 is, are you okay with changes made in the middle of a series or collection? And like most people, I'm going to say that I get annoyed by this, and my example for you is the Reckless series by Cornelia Funk. aka the Mirror World series, because they changed the series name partway through, but that's not all they changed. So first up, we have Reckless. So it was originally called the Mirror World series, and the first book was called Reckless because the main character is a man, young man, boy? I don't actually remember how old he is. I think he's like 20-ish. Regardless, his name is Jacob Reckless. So the first book is called Reckless because it's his name, but it's also an adjective that describes him. And it's called the Mirror World series because he goes through a portal in a mirror to another world. All makes sense. Then we get book 2, and book 2 is called Fearless, and you can see down at the bottom, a Mirror World novel. It follows the same conventions, and Fearless is a very accurate name for it because this book deals a lot with characters' fears, and it's nice. I like this titling convention. Then we get to book 3, and here you see it says Reckless at the top because this is when they changed the title of the series to be Reckless instead of the Mirror World, and then the book title itself is The Golden Yarn, and then it doesn't say it on this book, but they like went back and changed the names of the other books. I think book 1 is The Petrified Flesh and book 2 is Living Shadows? Maybe? And then I didn't grab book 4 off my shelf because it just follows this, where book 4 is called The Silver Tracks, and it's the Reckless series. I also have book 4 in paperback instead of hardcover, but that's my fault for buying the paperback. I really don't care. I kind of want to get all of them in paperback anyway, but I would still keep my hardcovers. That's neither here nor there. They've changed so many things about this series that it just really bothers me. Also, oh gosh, I have so many books in my lap that it's getting unmanageable. These two covers, they kind of go together. Of course, they changed this cover because they like changed the naming conventions and everything, but like these two, I can kind of see them being part of the same series. These two though, like, these don't match at all, and I don't understand why they did this. I don't understand why the publishers did any of this. So yes, I am very annoyed when things change in the middle of a series. Question 8 is, do the decisions that characters make ever annoy you? And like, yes, because everyone finds something annoying in characters, but honestly, I tend to get more annoyed with the author than the character themselves. If the character is like known to make dumb mistakes and like rush into things without thinking, that's one thing because that's like a piece of the character and I understand that. But if you have a character who's supposed to be like super smart, super cool, and they like don't get in over their head, and then you have them making these stupid decisions that go against all of the things you've already established for that character, that's on the author, and I get annoyed with them. I don't get annoyed with the character because it's just a character. It's not their fault they were written that way. It's the author's fault for doing something, I don't want to say wrong because it's subjective, but like, I get annoyed with authors for the way they write characters more than I get annoyed with characters, if that makes sense. Question 9 is, do you get annoyed by how other people organize their books? And I'm gonna say yes, because, you know, it's down to taste, and my taste is not someone else's taste, but I would never say anything. I love watching, like, bookshelf organization videos, and sometimes people do things where I'm like, ooh, I don't like the way that looks. I would never comment that, though, because, like I said, it's down to taste. They're obviously doing it because they like it. Also, it's their stuff. Who am I to say that I don't like the way someone else is dealing with their stuff? That's just kind of weird. Also, I reorganize my books all the time. I will probably link several videos down in the description of me reorganizing my books because I've done it so many times over the years, and I've definitely done things that annoy other people with my organization, so it's just my stuff is dealt with how I want to deal with it. Other people deal with their stuff how they want to deal with it, and that's fine. And the 10th and final question is, share any other bookish thing that gets you annoyed. And I am going to go so nitpicky here, but my biggest gripe with books is when there's like a slight misprint or like the cutting is off. Like if you get a book and like the cover art is on the spine in like the tiniest sliver, that sort of thing, it really grinds my gears, and the example I have is from my own books. So I have Revelry in the Dark and Jenny Was a Friend of Mine. These are the two books that I have published thus far in paperback. I do have a book available only as an ebook, but that's neither here nor there. And they look real good. I think they look fabulous from the front. You line them up, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but oh yes, you definitely can. The tops don't line up. These are both supposed to be 5¼ inches by 8 inches, but Jenny was a friend of mine, is just ever so slightly shorter. Like it's gotta be less than 1/4 of a centimeter. I don't actually know how big a centimeter is eyeballing it, but like it's so small. And yet, it annoys me so much. And I understand that these are like from Amazon's print on demand service because I self publish these, but like I've seen this with traditionally published books too, where things are just ever so slightly off, and it's those tiny little details that really get me. And so those are all of the annoying things that I have to talk to you guys about today. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone!